Hello everyone, welcome to NLG Level 2 English class. My name is Isabella and I will be your instructor for today. Okay, so I can see that there are about 200 or so people right now. And I'll just quickly check the sound. Okay, so I think everyone can hear me nice and clear. Okay, so I will spend first few minutes of this live stream to answer some of the frequently asked questions, just so we can recap and review level one's content as well as your practice of level one. And hopefully you've had a great time practicing the formulas and also, start to experience some of the flow of energy, as well as perhaps even transformations and improvements for your health or that warmth at the entire spine that we've talked about. So I will go ahead and do that. But just before I do that, just like to remind everyone that level 2 only consists of one session. So it's going to be today. And so it's absolutely necessary that you stay throughout this class. It's really important to understand the content that I will be presenting to you, as well as to receive the energy activation, which we will only have one energy activation for level 2. It's very similar to level 1, but with level 2, of course, your energy frequency is upgraded. And after this activation, which I will send this activation to everyone at the end of this class. Okay, so after the activation, of course, you can go ahead and practice the level 2 formula set. I will provide that to the Telegram groups. It will be the same Telegram groups that you're already using from level 1. Okay, so just like to remind everyone that it's really, really important to actually listen to all of the content and to not miss out on any of the class or announcements and post. Make sure that you like, follow, and subscribe to our Facebook page and YouTube channel, NLG Energy University. Okay, and of course, near the end of this class, I will show you the QR code to the level 1 and 2 Telegram groups as well, so that pretty much everything's posted on their formulas, particularly formulas. And it's so important that you use the formulas provided to you on that group, because it will be the latest version. It will be very nice and clear so that you don't have to screenshot, okay, throughout the live stream. And of course, this is level 2. So this session is only for participants who have completed level 1 fully. And by that, I mean you should have received 2 energy activations from level 1, the brain cell activation and the stem cell activation. So with 2 of those activations, then you're eligible to participate in level 2. If not, if you miss out on one of the activation in level 1, then you have to wait for the next level 1, unfortunately, probably next month. Okay, I will post the schedule for the classes that we'll have in February as soon as I can, and you have to wait until then to participate in level 1 fully with 2 activations, both days. Okay, participate in both days. And then after that, you can participate in level 2. Right. Now, if anyone here who's already in level 2 and you're here to revise and you would like to receive level 2 activation again because you're still in level 2, that's fine. That's completely fine. But for those of you who haven't finished level 1 and not eligible for level 2, or if you're in level 3, 4, 5, you can listen to the content, but please do not receive the energy activation. For those of you, of course, who's already participate in a high class level, if you receive this level 2 activation, what happened is you will return to level 2 level, level 2 energy frequency, and you will have to practice level 2 formulas instead of level 3, 4, or 5 formulas that you have already been activated. So just keep that in mind. We need to do this very accurately so that it's effective. Now, because Mr. Lei will be transmitting healing energy as well as the detox energy later on in about, I think, 2 hours time. And so I will go ahead and skip the healing energy transmission today. I will only give you the energy activation at the end of this class so that we just have more time to explain some of the questions, some of the content. And I like to go really deep into the formulas today. Last time we have some technical issue with level 1, and so I didn't get to explain everything fully with the picture on the screen. And so this time around, I like to spend more time on the content so that you understand exactly what it is that you need to do to ensure that your practice is accurate and refined. Okay, now some of the frequently asked question that we get from level 1 participant coming into level 2 is that so if I didn't practice level 1 formulas every day, then can I participate in this level 2? Now the answer is yes, you can. But of course, as we've already talked about this, NLG is a practice-based method. So of course, it's much, much better, and it's actually necessary to practice every single day. Okay, so for all of the good reasons that we've already mentioned in level 1, so it's absolutely essential that you should practice every single day. Now, with the previous class level, of course, you can watch them to refine your understanding. If you would like to revise the content, if you listen to something and you don't really understand it and you want to rewatch it, that's okay. And those videos are available on our YouTube and Facebook page. However, when you watch those videos, just a reminder that the energy activation, even though you can still see it because it's recorded, and so of course it's part of that live stream, but you do not receive the energy activation from those previous video because they're not live. Okay, so even though you see me transmitting energy activation, but I'm not actually there at that time when you rewatch it, I'm only here now, as in real time when the video is live. And so just keep that in mind to not receive that when you rewatch it. And of course, you absolutely cannot send those videos to loved ones or friends and tell them to receive that activation. That's not how we do it. So since we're here, and I'd like to emphasize that so that you know exactly that if you want to introduce a friend or family member to our classes, then you need to do so with precision. Now, some people also report that they feel quite sleepy after completing level 1 or while they practice the formulas. At this foundation level, what we can say is that when you feel sleepy, try to fight that, okay? Trying to make sure that you stay in control and really train yourself to, fight that urge. It could be difficult at first, but you can certainly practice it. And there are 2 reasons, well, it's actually a few reasons, but one of the reasons is that when you feel sleepy after receiving an activation or when you practice this energy method is because you're actually lacking in energy. And so when this energy source when you practice and this energy source start to support you, support the cells in your body, then what happens is all of the cells in your body feels extremely happy and your system starts to relax. So the way in which you can, I guess, fix that is that you can keep practicing, and you should practice consistently. And that's one of the reason why that you should practice consistently, so that your energy level gradually is more refined, and you can upgrade it as you go, so that you can be more in control. And then afterwards, you find that you will not be as sleepy or not sleepy at all when you practice the formulas, and you're very, very conscious, but also at the same time very focused on your practice. And another reason is it could be that, remember the first form of love, which is self-love. Now, many of us don't practice that with care. So, for example, you need 8 hours of sleep and you haven't been getting that for quite some time. And so, of course, that could also be the reason why you'll be sleepy when you try to focus, when you try to do something. So make sure that you go back to that first form of love and make sure that you practice it correctly. And this is a process of learning that I've already mentioned is very personal to you. You don't necessarily need to report anything, to us about how and how you've been practicing, and whether you experience something different, because that is your own thing. And if you would like to share it with us, that's excellent. But we're not going to be there to judge you that, oh, you haven't been doing this or that. The important thing is that you be in control completely, for the entire time that you practice, not just the formulas, but practice love and morality. And for example, if you did not receive all of the activation, then you should be conscious that you haven't finished that class level, and so you don't go ahead and participate in high class level. So of course, those are some of the things that for you to decide for yourself. And so we're just here to present you this information. You get to decide, you get to make a choice that would benefits you, and particularly after you know about all of the benefits that we've talked about and the needs to do this with precision. And of course, as Mr. Lay always said, that you cannot cheat when you come into this process, and you cannot get away with doing negative things, because there's always the energy attraction that if you give something negative, then you receive something negative. And of course, he will go deeper into that as you get to a higher class level. Now, when you practice a stem cell stimulation formula, some participants said that they don't necessarily feel warmth. Now, when that happens, of course, you can practice again up to 3 times a day. Because sometimes it's because of your sensor system somehow is damaged, or because you're stressed and you put a lot of pressure onto yourself to feel that warmth. Now remember that you should relax, okay, not stressing yourself out. And gradually, as you continue to practice, you would feel that warmth. There's a NLG participant who went on one of our live streams previously, and he actually shared that it took him 8 months, 8 long months to feel that warmth during practice. But throughout that process, he's very, very patient, and he practiced consistently, and he actually experienced a lot of health improvement. But it took him 8 months to actually feel that warmth. Okay, so just make sure that there's no stress there, and as long as you're very confident in your own practice, you're very well informed of your own practice, then you should be fine. Okay, now some people also report that they feel quite hot during the practice. This is also a sign of lacking in energy. And so the way that you resolve this is that you keep practicing. Okay. When you experience these things, don't stop practicing. Don't let it prevent you from or disrupt your flow of practice. Make sure that you keep practicing as you experience these things so that can gradually ease. And as you continue to practice, you may notice that you will not feel as hot anymore, but instead is going to be a very warm, very comfortable sensation. And when you get to the point where you feel slightly cool, not cold, everyone, but cool, just slightly cool, that sort of really nice, comfortable flow of energy, then you know that you get to a much, much better state of energy practice. Okay. And so it would go from hot if you have a lot of conditions, and then it will go into warm and then cool. Okay. But never cold. If you experience, if you feel cold during your practice, then make sure that you contact us, okay, and we'll support you with that. I mean, it's not a big deal, but it's just that those are some of the signs that as instructor we know what's going on. As participant who have been practicing for a long time, we know what's going on. Some of us, or many of us, have experienced that before, and so we're here to support you. We're here to inform you of your practice and make sure that you're on the right track. And yeah, so if you have any question, if you experience any of those things, then make sure that you contact us so that we can support you. And some of you may notice that when you practice for the first time, or when you make that transition from one level to another, for example, from level 1 to level 2, that when you get activated, your condition, it may seem a little bit more apparent. Okay, so for example, you feel slightly more painful when you make a transition to the next level, to the next class level, when you get activated or something like that. Now, don't stress about that. Okay, just keep practicing and that will gradually disappear. Okay, because imagine that when the cells in your body, when your energy frequencies gets upgraded and it comes back to address all of the conditions, all of the illnesses that you're having. So that's a way of it letting you know that, okay, I'm addressing this problem here with this upgraded energy frequency. So I'm letting you know that I'm working on this. And so don't stress out if you feel slightly more painful. And it would last probably for some people only very briefly. For other people, maybe a day, couple of days, and then that will gradually ease and you would feel that transformation within yourself as well as for your health, physically and mentally. Okay. Now, some of you may have children joining you for these classes, or if they don't, but you still want to transmit energy to them, that's fine. But because young children is very difficult to keep them, sitting in one place for a long time, and also when you transmit energy to them, if your kids are too young and they keep running around, that's fine. Just wait until they're asleep, and then that's when you can transmit energy to them. Okay, so that it doesn't disrupt their play and it doesn't stresses you out when you try to transmit energy to them. And of course, at this level, is really important that when you practice the formula that you practice with your eyes open. Okay, and for all of the notes that you should have a look, that you should really carefully read through before you practice the formula, so you can practice it in the most accurate way. Okay, and of course you need to know which formulas that you use on yourself and which formulas that you practice for other people. Now, if you're confused, it is much better that you ask. And even if you're, a little puzzled as to, oh, I think or I assume that this is so and so, is much better to ask questions so that you don't need to assume. Okay, so when it comes to this practice, we do not want you to assume anything. We want you to know exactly what it is that you're doing. All right, so for level 2, we will revise some of these content, just adding, more information to it. So going back to the 3 formulas, sorry, these 3 logos of energy. So we have here, of course, the cosmic divine light. This is energy. This is energy university, and this is the loving home. Okay. So we know that the cosmic divine light logo represents love as well as light, okay, that embraces all beings. It provides us with great lessons, knowledge, and wisdom. And that wisdom displayed by or enabled by many different projects that we can think about, that we can initiate, and as well as in a way sort of bring it to life, okay, to make it visible via the energy university. Okay, so this is part of wisdom as well that can benefit all of us, create materials abundance, and when we have all of that, then we're able to maintain the loving home. Okay, so this is not just about the love or the more abstract things that we can't see, but also we need the more tangible things to thrive as well. So, for example, shelter, okay, and all of the things that make our life more comfortable and more convenient, and for it to be safe, as well as for us to see that, of course, there's benefits in being good to attract this energy source. And when we're able to, and each of us, when we're able to build a loving home, then of course it leads to a society, a community of loving homes. So this loving home logo points to the possibility of having just that, this genuine connection with love, with respect for a home to truly be a home. And gradually with all of this will guide you to find the techniques to live and to build an ascended civilization, to live with genuine gratitude, and to create peace for everyone. Because as we know, we cannot live a life without any discipline. We need to have direction, we need to have guidance, and we need to know and adhere to the principles of NLG so that we can connect and we can utilize this energy source. It's much like when you're in a country, you're a citizen of a country. Of course, there's laws and rules that you need to adhere to, and you can't just say that, oh, I want to do this in my own way, without any regards for other people. It would not be safe. It would not be appropriate for everyone. And so there's always need to be that consciousness of what it is that you're doing, so that it brings peace and safety to yourself as well as to others. And so that is why with NLG techniques, we hope to harness and we hope to head towards an ascended civilization. And we certainly do have the formulas to get there. We have the practice to get there. And so that's why we always say that do not change the formulas, do not change the principles of NLG. Don't improvise on your own. This is not a place to get creative with the formulas, because the frequency needs to be very precise, so that you can, gradually refine your practice of this method. Oh, sorry, everyone. I think I was on mute for about a minute or so. Okay, so some people, when they, come into NLG, they come in because they have an illness, and they think that they can just receive the activation and then they practice the formula, and that would be it. That they would be, that they would be able to transform their health and all of that. But if they're lacking in the principle of love and morality, which is really, really important for the practice of NLG, then what happened is they won't be able to fully make the most out of the practice of NLG. And so some people, they come in with a pretty mild condition, but because after they get the activation and they only receive it for the sake of receiving it, they don't really understand the benefits of that activation, and they don't care too much for that. And then they still rely on Mr. Lay completely, and I'm saying completely, meaning that they don't practice the formulas. They don't even practice the stem cells formula, which I've already said that is a formula that you cannot rely on other people to do it for you. So they put in no effort, and they rely completely on Mr. Lay's healing as well as others' healing support. Then, of course, for those people, they won't get the most out of this practice. Okay, so that's a very small number of people. But oftentimes, we came across, many different reasons as to why people say that they can't practice. So, for example, they would say that, I'm very busy, or, I don't have a lot of time for this. So really, when you make that decision, then you're actually missing out on the opportunity to do something amazing for yourself. Remember that we're not here to judge you that, oh, you did not practice and, therefore you are this or that. But we're pointing out the benefits of practicing and the disadvantage if you don't practice, even though you have the formula, you have been activated, and you have been informed about all of these principles that you should practice alongside with the formulas. And so really that is a decision that you make for yourself. That is a choice. We do not force you to do it. And we just make sure that we show you everything. We explain to you everything so that you can make a decision that is best for you. Okay. And of course, this is about your own journey. It's about your self-awareness, and it's about being very proactive for your own practice. It's really important as well for us to practice the formula so that we can support the stem cells, because they're the one who doing all of this hard work. So remember that I said that they're a part of you. They work collectively as this massive, massive system within you. And so what happened is that when you practice this formula and you utilize this energy source, it's like you're cooperating with them, okay? So that they can be supported with this energy, and from there, they can improve your health. Now, before we didn't know that, and so a lot of the time we think that we're just by ourselves, we can just do whatever. But now that you know that you're responsible for a lot of cells in your body, and they need your support as well by, practicing these formulas, practicing these principles of love and morality, so that they can, basically receive this energy source so that they can then help you to transform, to heal, and just to be a better version of yourself as well. And when we present these information to you, of course, it is not to pressure you to have to practice. Okay, there's no pressure there. It's just that you need to understand the importance of practicing. And when you understand it, then we hope that you would learn to embrace it, learn to be very passionate about your own practice. Because after level 2, even though you'll see later on that the formulas are quite similar to level 1, but the energy frequency is of course upgraded. And so if let's say if level 1 it's like you finally get to connect to Wi-Fi, that's when you actually experience, that's your first experience of having Wi-Fi. Let's say it's like the very fast form. And then in level 2, it's like getting upgraded to 3G. Okay. And I'm talking about when technology and, things about Wi-Fi and things like that still very, very new. And so that's just a comparison. So when you get to a high class level, then it's like your Wi-Fi, your data has been upgraded. So with that, it's more efficient, it's faster, and it lets you, access all of this information much, much quicker. Now, on the other hand, if you don't use the time to practice, to maintain love, morality, and of course the +1 -1 frequency, then it's going to be quite challenging for you when you get to a high class level, for example, level 3 after this. And you may not feel a lot of improvements, but instead you will see that there's quite a big gap, between your practice versus other people's practice. So it could be that you see other people very successful in the things that they do. They have lots and lots of transformation, but then you experience very little, okay? And you would understand exactly why that happened. And even though for a lot of people, they say, oh, but I've been practicing these formulas and I've been practicing these principles and, I've been doing it right this whole time. There would be something else in there that even though you think that you've been practicing correctly, but as a matter of fact, there are still lots and lots of rooms for improvement. Okay. And I'll leave it there. Okay. Because it's not a space to judge. This is a space of self-awareness. And you need to monitor this process as you go and be genuine, be true to yourself. So in this level, we also briefly talk about the brain and the universe. There's some, I guess, similarity, okay, between them. And these slices, there's quite a lot of content, and so you can certainly have a look at it in your own time if you're interested, or maybe you've already come across, some of these content before. But when it comes to the brain and the frequency that we've been using, then the smartest of us, okay, and I'm talking, for example, scientists or something like that, we've only used up, and this is generally, we've only used up to 10%, somewhere from 7 to 10% of our brain in terms of its capacity and energy. So our brain is much like a mini universe when you think about it. And you need to be in the right frequency that matches with the frequency of the energy source that we're interested in, which is the +1 -1 frequency. And when you're in this frequency, the cells in your body will be able to develop and upgrade. So for example, you find that it takes you less time to do the same task. Your mind, your mind is clearer and sharper, and you do things more efficiently. But this would only come as you practice accurately, adequately, and consistently. And so that's why we always say that do not waste an opportunity to practice, because it's absolutely necessary to upgrade your brain capacity as you go. There's a lot of it that's remain unknown to us that we have not experienced, much like the universe. In the +1 -1 frequency is something that you certainly need to regulate by yourself. As an instructor, I can only help to activate your brain cell and stem cells for you to get a head start. But I cannot regulate your +1 -1 frequency for you. That's something that you certainly need to monitor as you go. Because some people continue to take energy classes, but gradually they find that there's very limited improvements, and that is because they don't connect to the energy source from outer space civilization properly. Okay, so just keep that in mind. Now, when we revise just a little bit about the 5 forms of love, okay, because this is really, really important. And the thing is, it sounds a little bit repetitive, but you would be surprised as to how many times that Mr. Lay actually had to go over and over and over again about these principles, okay, because we still seem to not fully understand how to practice these. Okay, so after level 1 and 2, you observe that there's improvements in your, say, social life, as well as your health, relationship with other people. And if you experience something like that, that is because you are learning to be a kinder and friendlier, more caring version of yourself compared to before. You're able to be calm when you encounter different situation and you remain unaffected by things that are happening around you. And so when you become a better version, then of course when other people interact with you and when you say talk to them or do something for them, then of course it creates that loving presence, and it helps you to connect with other more closely. And of course, keep in mind the laws of karma. What goes around comes around. You cannot get away with doing negative things, wrong things. And of course, on the other hand, you will get rewarded, or in other words, you get attracted to, so other good things will get attracted to you, okay, if you do the right thing. Now, if you say, well, I've been doing a lot of great things, but I just don't understand why that I still don't see anything good, in my life. Now, that's to do with that energy attraction, once again, because we don't just talk about this life, okay, and the things that you've done in this life, but for the many lives that you've really served before. And so it's better to just do good things and starting to save that good energy, that credits, rather than calculating, wondering about when you should be getting the rewards, because you don't know what's already happened before. Okay, so it is about the present, and once you know about this practice, is about getting started right now, doing good things, because your calculation, your evaluation of what's already happened, it's not as accurate as this force of energy that's enabled to us by the outer space civilization. And so there's always great precision there and fairness. And so the point, it just be good. And, without asking when other good things will come to me. And really learn to be thankful for all of the things that are happening around us, because, things around us will just continue to happen nonstop. And when everything's fine, then of course we say that we're a very calm person, we're a very loving person. But because when things happen to us or around us, and the way that we observe, the way that we respond to those, I guess, stimuli, that's what counts. And that's what show you whether you should continue to improve, or whether you've get to the point where you understand more and more about love and morality. And as you're now in level 2, and you will get the activation later on, it's absolutely important that you upgrade your love and morality, or else you will have quite a challenging time as you get to high class level. And coming into level 2, of course, your love needs to be extended to more people. And as a matter of fact, in level 1, we already work on self-love and love for family. So now that we're in level 2, we start looking at love for country. Okay. And then as you get to level 3, we will address all 5 of the forms of love. And we also know that if our love is too little, then a word or an action can really upset us. But if our love for ourselves, our family, our country, for humanity, and for all living things are big enough for us to forgive, for us to understand, for us to really treasure all of the things that are happening around us, then, if you've already experienced something like that, then I'd like to congratulate you, because you experience lots of great success from the techniques of NLG. And then we go back a little bit to the +1 - 1 frequency. which, okay, I should share this screen. So going back to the +1, -1 frequency, let's say that if you're in a negative state, let's say anger or self-blame, resentment, sadness, then basically what you're doing is that you're distancing yourself from the safe zone, what we call the safe zone, which is the +1, -1 frequency. So whatever happened, you want to really face the situation, look at it, observe it, perceive it in a calm, loving manner. And you might ask yourself, well, what have I done to deserve all of this? What have I done to have to deal with all of this? But we know that there's that consequences, that energy attraction or karmic consequences, as we've often talked about. And we'll talk about this a lot more as you go into a higher class level for you to understand about this, about our lives. Okay, it is not religious, it is not political, but it's something that's relevant to our lives that we should know. So then once we know, we can make a decision that would benefits ourselves the most, in the sense that we get to live in this loving life in a way that is more precise, to help us connect to this energy source properly. Okay. Now, something about the outer space civilization is that, of course, they don't just record down all of the bad things that we do, but an equal amount of good things if we've been doing good things. Okay. And right now we encourage you to do the good things. And that's the reason why we encourage you to do the good things. As you continue to show love and morality to other people alongside with practicing the formulas. So keep practicing and you realize that energy can help you to do good things. So it's like a reciprocal things, okay, to save up more and more of that good credits that we're talking about. So for example, you learn to be loving and then you practice the formulas, you're getting much, much better, mentally and physically. And so with that, you learn afterwards that you're able to actually use this energy to support other people as well. Okay, and so it's a method where is enable self-help as well as support for other people, and it creates the opportunity for you to support other people using this energy. And a lot of people, when they come into NLG, they come in wanting to learn more, to explore more, and their intention is very pure. And that helps them to connect to the +1 -1 frequency more easily, which means that they get access to energy more strongly and they really thrive in their healing process, as well as when they support other people compared to others when they come in and they're a little bit skeptical. They really just try to interpret energy from just one aspect and they've already made up their mind of how they want to think about energy. And so when that happens and they're unwilling to open their mind to learn about this, then in those cases, they don't experience as many improvements, and they actually later on become very frustrated and they have absolutely no idea what they're doing, not knowing how to utilize this energy. Okay, and then gradually they give up. And so of course you don't want to see yourself in that picture, in that situation. You want to make sure that when you learn something that you get the most out of it. And so we're here to present you with all of these information so that you can make up your mind of what to do and how to do it. Okay, so now I think that we've already discussed a little bit more about the content of level 2. And so now on to the more, I guess, exciting stuff, which is the formulas. Okay, so this time around, I hope that I have more time to explain to you the formulas, which are very, very important. They're very exciting. Now, the formula set for level 2 is very similar to that of level 1, but the difference lies within the energy frequency. Okay, but last time I didn't get to explain fully to everyone. So I'll just show you the formulas on the screen now. And okay, so NLG formulas, you will see that we divide them into different steps like this. Okay, so step 1, 2, 3, and 4. And for all of the steps, you will recite them in your head. Okay, you're using your mind to direct energy as well as to work with all of these commands and steps without actually having to say it out loud. So this is the first formulas of level 2, which is very important. This is the stem cell stimulation frequency. So here, please read the note. It said that when you practice, keep your eyes open and direct energy accordingly. I know that sometimes it can be a little bit challenging when you open your eyes and you try to focus, but that is the instruction that's given to you when you come into energy. So please make sure that you train yourself to do that. Okay. When you open your eyes, you see everything around you. You're very conscious of what's happening, but you can still learn to focus on the practice. And this is a formulas that you will practice for yourself. You cannot use this formula for other people. Okay. And so when you practice, you see here, the practice duration is actually according to your age. So for example, if you're above 18 years old, your practice time would be 5 minutes and 30 seconds. And for example, if you have children joining you, as in they learn, they take this class with you and they receive the activation, for example, your kid, say, for example, your daughter, okay? Then if your daughter has complete level 2, receive all of the activation, watch the live stream, understand the content and everything. And let's say that if she is, say, 15 years old and she wants to practice this formula for herself, then her time would be 3 minutes and 30 seconds. Okay, it's very clearly indicated here. So this is a formula that you practice for yourself, not for other people. You actually cannot use this formula for other people. Okay, now as you press the timer, for example, if you're above 18 years old, your time would be 5 minutes and 30 seconds. You set your timer to 5 minutes and 30 seconds, and then you start to go from step 1. Okay, so in your head, you would recite, receive cosmic divine light, new era energy level 2, frequency band, stem cell stimulation frequency. Okay, and then after that, now think about this step 1 as a command. Okay, this is to direct your energy and for the cells in your body to know exactly what it is that you want to do. And then move on to step 2, receive energy into the brain. It means that you visualize energy source from outer space entering the brain. Okay, now this is only a picture for you to visualize better, but when you practice, of course, you will visualize the energy going into your brain, not into the brain on this picture here. So just to clarify that. And so you will recite in your head, receive first time, and then you wait for 3 to 5 seconds, and then receive second time, wait for 3 to 5 seconds, and then receive third time. Okay. And then after that, you move on to step 3, send energy from the brain into the ERC. Okay, so this is the ERC. It is the part that is at the back of your neck, okay, between your head and your back. Okay, so it's this one here. And you would recite in your head, send first time, wait for 3 to 5 seconds, send second time, wait for 3 to 5 seconds, send third time. Okay. And then step 4, you recite in your head, continuously direct energy into the brain to the ERC and continue sending it from the ERC down the entire spine. to the coccyx, continuously support the energy, maintain the warmth for the entire spine to stimulate stem cells until alarm rings. Okay. Now, basically, once you send energy into the brain, from the brain to the ERC, then in step 4 is like an ongoing process. Okay. You continue to direct energy according to the instructions in step 4. Now, the ERC is the Energy Reception Center. It's short for that. And you will see this term a lot throughout the practice of NLG. All right, so I hope that I have enough time to practice more thoroughly about this formula. And please, when you receive these formulas, make sure that you practice them exactly the way that they have been instructed. Now, in case if you have, for example, vision impairments, or if you have, say, eye-related condition that prevents you from opening your eyes, that's fine. Then in that case, you can close your eyes, whatever that makes it comfortable for you to the condition that you're having. And also when you practice this formula, and if you're very, very sick, you need to lie down, then by all means do it. Okay, just so that you're very conscious of your state of health, and you can still practice these formulas correctly when you're in those stages. And of course, we have our Telegram groups. So if you have any question, make sure that you ask us. It's actually not just beneficial for you, but when other people see your question, they may not think about, then it can also benefit them as well. And that's also one way of spreading this love and moral qualities. Okay. Now, this is self-healing frequency. It's very similar to that of level 1. And of course, we have 4 steps. We'll go through each of them. Very similar to the formulas that I explained to you just now. We'll recite them silently in our head. Think about this first step as the command. Okay, you need to make sure that you get this one perfectly correct. And if you, let's say, when you initially practice these formulas and you don't remember them, words to word, you can certainly look at the formulas and you can read from it. You don't need to force yourself to have to remember when you first practice, because then you're in a very pressured state and you won't be able to focus properly. And so this is very straightforward. Receive cosmic divine light, new era energy level 2 frequency band, self-healing frequency. Receive energy into the brain, receive first time, second time, third time, and then send energy from the brain into the ERC. Send first time, send second time, send third time, and then for the rest of the duration, you continuously direct energy into the brain and continue to transmit it into the ERC. Let the warmth of energy spread on its own until alarm rings. Now, the practice duration, this is according to your age. Okay, this is self-healing frequency, and as the name suggests, you practice this formula for yourself. You do not use this formula for other people. Okay, so that's very straightforward. Now, this is direct healing frequency, and this is the formula that you would use for other people. Okay, direct healing frequency is a formula that you use on other people, not on yourself. So very similar, we have 4 steps. The first step, receive cosmic divine light, new era energy level 2 frequency band, direct healing frequency. Receive energy into the brain of the transmitter. So basically you're transmitting energy to another person. That makes you the transmitter. So you receive energy into your brain first. Okay, receive first time, receive second time, receive third time. Now I'm going quite fast here, but of course you always need to have 3 to 5 seconds delay in between, just so, and the reason why we receive or send energy 3 times is just so the cells in your body, as well as you, understand and determine exactly what it is that you're doing. It's like a confirmation, okay? And then step 3, send energy. And all of these steps, everyone, of all of the formulas, you would recite them in your head silently, okay? So in your head, for level 3, you would say in your head, send energy from the brain of the transmitter into the recipient's ERC. So it is from your brain. If you're the transmitter, it is from your brain transmitting energy into the recipient's ERC. Now, this is the recipient's ERC right here, okay? And since it is direct healing, you would put your 2 hands on the recipient's ERC, okay, in this shape here. Looks like a triangle, okay? And then step 4, transmit. The transmitter continuously transmit energy from the brain of the transmitter into the recipient's ERC. Okay, so this is an ongoing thing where you continue to transmit energy from your brain into the recipient's ERC right here. And you place your hand like this for the entire time. Let the warmth of energy spreads on its own until alarm rings. Excuse me. And so this formula you will practice on other people. And so the practice duration is according to the recipient's age. So for example, you're healing someone, you're giving healing support to someone who is above 18 years old, then your time will be 5 minutes and 30 seconds. Whereas if you transmitting energy to a young child, let's say 5 years old, then time would be 1 minute and 30 seconds. Now, the only case where you're supporting children from 0 to 3 years old, because you can see here that the practice duration is only 30 seconds to 1 minute, which is not very long at all. So what you do in that case, but only strictly for 0 to 3 years old children, okay? Something you can do for this particular age group is that you start with step 1 and then step 2. And then as you get to step 3, that's when you start the timer, okay? You can set your timer to 30 seconds or to 1 minute, okay? But that is only for this particular age group of 0 to 3 years old. From 4 years old and above, you will need to start your timer, and then you start from step 1. Okay, and for all of the other formulas as well, you need to start your timer. You press start on your timer, and then you go from step 1 all the way to the last step. Now, please note that level 2 participants are not yet ready to support people with neurological diseases. Okay, so do keep that in mind. While performing, the transmitter and the recipient keeps their eyes open, maintain a state of mindfulness. That's very important. The recipient visualizes the ailing areas. If there's many, then just focus on the ERC and the entire spine. Okay, so this is something that you can inform the recipient in terms of how they can visualize, the ailing areas. If they have maybe just 1 or 2 ailing areas, then they can visualize that while you transmit energy to them. But if they have many, many different areas where they're having a problem with, then they can just focus on the ERC and on the entire spine as you transmit energy to them. Okay, so that is the recipient's roles in this. Whereas your roles in this is that you follow all of these steps here. Now, even when it say the transmitter, now you know that to be yourself, but you do not change the wording of the formula. Okay, make sure that you still recite in your head, for example, in step 3, send energy from the brain of the transmitter into the recipient's ERC. Okay, so we use the term the transmitter and the recipients. We do not use the term I or you, or, we don't fill in the recipient's name. Okay, we use one formula, okay, that is collective and that is general for all. So please do not change the wording of the formulas. Now, before supporting another person with very serious illnesses, the transmitter must feel warmth for 5 minutes and 30 seconds during the practice of stem cell stimulation formula. Remember the stem cells stimulation formula that you practice on yourself, then that's really, really important. Remember that this is direct healing support, okay? This formula here. And so what that means is that you have to put your 2 hands on the recipient's ERC. Now, this can be new to a lot of people, and so make sure that you explain it to them. Don't just, put your hands there and not tell them what's going on. Make sure that they know that they're receiving energy from you. Make sure that they understand a little bit about energy. Make sure that they give you consent to transmit energy to them, and make sure that they understand why is it that you're putting your hands here, okay? And you certainly need to do it properly, according to the formulas. So you can give support 1 time a day per person. And for those with very severe conditions, you may support them twice a day, 6 hours apart. Now, at level 2, you can start giving healing support to people outside of your family. Okay, remember that level 1, you can only support people in your family, but in level 2, you can start giving out healing support to other people outside of your family. Now, however, it's always necessary to ask them first, to inform them first before you give them the healing support. And in case if you have a family member who lives very far away, if they're busy and they say, oh, I don't want to receive energy from you, but because they're family member, you have that bond, you have that connection. And so you can, as a mother, for example, or as a father, you can still use this love to send them this energy, which we will have the indirect healing formula later on. I'll show that to you if they're very far away and they're not there for you to place your hand on their ERC, but that's only apply, okay? It as in when they say that they're busy and that they may not be very fond of receiving energy, but if they're a family member, then you can still send energy to them with all of your love as a mother or father, or a sister or brother. But it doesn't work quite the same for people who are not your family members. And so do keep that in mind. For someone who's outside of your family, you absolutely need to get consent from them. You need to make sure that they understand exactly what it is that you're trying to do and what roles do they play within these transmission. And particularly even for your family member, if they know that you're transmitting energy to them and they're actively receiving that energy, is actually a lot better, is a lot more effective. Okay. Now, this is the indirect healing frequency. This is the one that I talked about briefly. So as the name suggests, indirect healing frequency, it means that you can send energy to other people, from a distance. Now, this is the formula that you would use on other people, not on yourself. So step 1, receive cosmic divine light, new era energy, level 2 frequency band, indirect healing frequency. And you recite that silently once, okay? And of course, when you receive it into the brain. And step 2, receive energy into the brain of the transmitter, receive first time, second time, third time, and then you send energy from the brain of the transmitter into the recipient's ERC. It's very similar to the direct healing. Send first time, second time, third time, and then in step 4, that's when you maintain, you're continuously transmitting energy from the brain of the transmitter into the recipient's ERC. And you let that warmth of energy spreads on its own until the alarm rings. Now, something important to know about this, well, of course, you have to read the notes as well as the practice duration at the bottom here. And the practice duration is according to the recipient's age. Okay. Now, because it is indirect healing, it means that you're transmitting energy to someone from afar. So option one is that you can transmit energy through a phone with or without the front camera. So for example, you can do FaceTime, or you can just give them like a normal phone call and you can transmit energy to them accordingly. Option two is you can transmit energy to people through an arranged time without pictures. Okay, so for example, you know that you'll be transmitting energy to them, let's say at 9 a.m. So you give them a phone call, you say, okay, at 9 a.m. every single day, please receive energy from me. I will not be calling you because it may not be convenient for both of us, but I will be transmitting energy to you at 9 a.m. So make sure that you set your alarm and you at 9 a.m. you start receiving energy from me. And so you can actually do that through an arranged time. And then at 9 a.m., you sit down and you practice this formula, you visualize them, and that's about it. And then option three is through pictures. Now, this is particularly useful if, let's say, you don't know the person very well, or if the person is in a coma. Now, when you transmit energy to someone who's in a coma, you need to get their family's approval. And the family actually need to know about you, know about this energy frequency, this energy source, and this practice, and they need to ask you to do it for their family in order for you to do it for their their family member who's in a coma. You cannot just, for example, if you see, on the news that this person or that person's, is in a critical condition or something like that, you cannot just send energy like randomly to people like that because you really don't know about their condition. And of course, you don't have that permission. You haven't talked to the person or their family to, finalize that roles that you'll be playing to support the person. And so please do not transmit energy randomly like that. You need to transmit it with care, and you certainly need to get consent from the recipient if they can still communicate with you, or from the family if they're in a coma. Just a reminder again that level 2 participants are not yet ready to support patients with neurological diseases. And when you perform healing on another person, both transmitter and recipient needs to maintain in a state of mindfulness. Now, because this is indirect healing, so the transmitter will close their eyes and the receivers will open their eyes, focus on the transmitter's forehead, visualize receiving the energy to the ailing areas. And if there's many, then they can just focus on the ERC and the entire spine. And of course, before supporting another person with serious illnesses, the transmitter must feel the warmth for 5 minutes and 30 seconds during the practice of stem cells stimulation formula. Indirect healing is done one-on-one only, okay? At this level 2, you can only transmit energy to one person at a time. And that's the same thing for direct healing as well, because for direct healing, you need to place your hand on the recipient's ERC. So of course you can only give healing support to, it's like a one-on-one situation, one person at a time. And generally you give healing support once a day to one person, per person. And for those with severe condition, you may support them twice a day. And with 6 hours apart. Okay. Let's see if I have any other notes that I need to inform everyone. Now, some people might ask that, how do I transmit energy to the recipient if I cannot see them? So when you direct energy, remember that you direct it through your thoughts. So you recite, all of these steps in your head that you wish to transmit energy to the recipient. And so that's the way to go about it. And if you have any other question, make sure that you contact us. And it's really, really important to read all of those steps, read everything on this formula, read all of the notes before you practice. Now, this is a really interesting formula. This is the encouraging family frequency. So step 1, you recite in your head, receive cosmic divine light, new era energy, level 2 frequency band, encouraging family frequency. Step 2, receive energy into the brain of the transmitter. Receive first time, second time, third time. And then step 3, send energy from the brain of the transmitter into the recipient's brain. Send first time, second time, third time. And then in step 4, send encouraging messages to the recipient's brain. Keep transmitting messages continuously over and over until alarm rings. The practice duration for this, and this is a formula that you would use on other people, typically your family members. Okay. Now the practice duration is 5 minutes and 30 seconds, 1 time a day per person that you would like to encourage. Please note that this is only for family members on both sides of your family, and those with very, very close, direct relationship with you. For example, parents, in-laws, and in some special cases, your co-workers. Okay, but only if you're very, very close, very close. Now, it is possible to encourage many people in one session if you're transmitting a common message. If you basically want to encourage the same thing to many, many people in your family, then you can do it in one session. Now, if the message is long, you can write it down and you repeat it over a period of days until you see there's improvements or transformation or something different in their behaviors and thinking. Now, when performing this formula, you can open or close your eyes as the recipients would not be sitting in front of you. And examples of encouraging messages, for example, for them to practice moral qualities, to have love, to alleviate concerns, or, when it comes to fairness, very noble values and things like that, or for them to take good care of themselves, to quit drinking, quit smoking, quit playing video games, having sort of addiction and things like that. Now, it is only effective if the transmitter has achieved the 5 minutes and 30 seconds of warmness during the stem cell stimulation practice. Okay. Now, something really important about this one is that, well, I like to emphasize again, is that this is a formula that you would use on other people, typically your family member or co-workers who are very, very, very close to you. Now, your messages need to be consistent, everyone, and the content needs to be the same when you try to encourage them until you notice there are changes, okay? For example, if in your family and your husband, you would like for your husband to quit excessive drinking because it has been really affecting him, as well as affecting you, affecting your family in general and your children, and there's a lot of problems due to that particular behavior, then you can use this encouraging formula with that message to encourage him to quit drinking. And you practice it until you see changes in his behavior. Now, this is a very common example. A lot of NLG participant has been able to help their loved ones cope and overcome these unhealthy habits using this formula. For example, drinking, smoking, having addiction. And when you practice this formula, is really important is that you don't need to tell the person that you're using this formula on them, because in reality, you use this formula when you can't talk to the person. Okay, so for example, a lot of people try to talk to their partners, to their loved ones about these unhealthy habits, and the only thing that they receive from them is rejection. Okay, and sometimes that escalates into, stress and conflicts, and it can get pretty ugly, and messy, when you try to help your family members to cope with these things. And so because of that, and you care about your safety, you care about the changes in the behaviors of your loved ones, so you would use this formula and you do not need to inform them. And it's actually much better to not inform them, because if you inform them, then once again, you talking to them, and they would be furious in, a lot of cases, because they don't care for these changes. But you know that these changes are absolutely necessary for them to be healthy and for them to be safe. And so do not tell the recipient that you're practicing these encouraging formulas on them, because it would defeat the purpose of wanting to help that person. And when you transmit energy to them, of course, you can visualize them. You don't need to have a photo, because if they're family members, then of course you know what they look like. You remember them, and so of course you don't need to have their photos. You can just sit by yourself and transmit energy accordingly. And you don't need to have that person to sit in front of you, because of course you don't want the person to know about this. And it's necessary that you need to work on yourself first, everyone, and only then that you can encourage your loved ones, okay? And you need to be very patient with this process as well. Okay, now this is the hand position, and this relates to the direct healing formula. Oh, sorry. This relates to the direct healing formulas you would be using, the direct healing formula. But if, for example, you're assisting someone with deafness, then this is the hand position that you would place your hand like this, instead of putting your hand in the normal place of the ERC. Okay, and while you're performing, the transmitter visualizes sending energy to the ears, the brain, and the entire spine. And this is, you put your hands on both of the ears like this, very gently though. Fingers on the earlobes, very gently. Okay. And so this is the direct healing formula that you use on other people. This is also the direct healing formula that you use on other people, but this is the hand position for all vision impairments, eye-related condition. Okay. You will place your hand like so. Oh, actually, I like to go back to this deafness, the hand position for deafness. Okay, so this is the hand position that you would use on other people with deafness. But then, to assist yourself, if you have a problem with deafness, then you would okay, and I'll show you. So for yourself, if you're doing self-healing and you have deafness problem, then you would place your hand like this, okay, on your own ears like this, and very gently, everyone, very gently, like so, okay, to give yourself healing support. And then this is the hand position for eyes related conditions, vision impairment. So you see that your hands place like this. So your index finger just above your brows, and then very gently as well. Okay. So once again, that is the hand position for vision impairment. Okay, so you put it like this for other people. But then for yourself, what you will do is, of course, you can't do this for yourself. It's very awkward. But for yourself, if you have an eyes impairment issue, then your two hands, you put it like this, and you should put it on your brows bone, okay? Not directly to your eyes. We don't do that, but to your brows bone, and you do it like this, okay? And of course, very gently, because it's around that areas of your eyes and your ears, which is very sensitive. And so we need to make sure that we do it correctly. And so just like that, just above your eyes like that, okay? And this is the formula for all conditions of the nervous system of the brain. Okay, and this is how you will place your hand. I will post all of this on our Telegrams group. Now, at the beginning, you can put your two hands on either side of the brain, sending energy into the receiver's brain. And then after 2 weeks or a month, depends on how the person has improved, then you can put one hand on the brain and then the other hand on the ERC like this. Okay, so make sure that you read all of these notes. Really, really important. And here's some of the notes. So only level 2 students who have graduated from level 1 and receive activation from level 2 can practice these formulas. The remaining formulas, for example, healing, encouraging family member, you can use in case of helping others as needed. But for yourself, every day you need to practice the stem cell stimulation and the self-healing formulas continuously or 1 or 2 hours apart. Practice requires full concentration for 5 minutes and 30 seconds. If you're distracted for more than 30 seconds, don't count that practice. Reset the timer and start again. You need to choose a quiet place to practice. Keep your eyes open, but of course you can blink. You choose a focus object or point, and avoid sitting in front of a fan or AC. And of course, you need to practice the formulas accurately every day, keeping good moral values, the 5 forms of love, and always maintain the +1 -1 frequency to receive great results. Now, when you practice the stem cell stimulation formula, when you practice this formula and the entire spine feels warm continuously for 5 minutes and 30 seconds, then you only need to practice this formula once a day. But in contrast, if you practice and the entire spine does not feel warm, then you can practice for the second time and for the third time up to 3 times a day in a row, 1 or 2 hours apart. And you should practice this formula at least 6 hours before going to bed, because late practice can lead to excess energy, causing difficulty sleeping. And then for self-healing formula, healthy or mildly ill people only need to practice self-healing once a day. In case of severe disease, practice up to 2 times a day. All healing, including self-healing or receive support from other people, should be spaced 6 hours apart. In case of emergency, then you can practice self-healing right away and there's no need to wait for 6 hours. Okay. Now I will go ahead now and activate everyone for level 2 energy frequency. So the way that you will receive energy activation from me is that you keep your eyes open, of course. I will close my eyes, but you will open your eyes. And you look at my forehead, you visualize energy goes from my forehead into yours, continuous, and then you continue to visualize energy going into your forehead for the entire duration. I will set the timer. I will let you know when time is up. There's no need to direct that energy elsewhere, just to your brain, okay? And of course, this energy activation is only for those who are in level 2, who has completed level 1 completely, and you're here for level 2, and it's also for those who are in level 2 and are still currently in level 2. You have not participated in any high class level. Whereas for level 3, 4, 5 participant, please do not receive this activation because this is level 2 activation. Okay, now I will show you the demonstration of how to receive the energy activation. Okay, so you look at my forehead and then you visualize energy going from my forehead into yours, brain like this. So continuously like this. Okay. Until my alarm rings, and then I'll let you know that time it's up. Okay. That's pretty straightforward. Okay. All right, so let's get started, everyone. I will set my timer to 1 minute and 30 seconds. So let's get started. Okay, and we have completed the energy activation. Congratulations, everyone. And now we'll go ahead and practice the formula together. So we'll practice the stem cells formulas together. I will play a demonstration video, okay? So that everyone can practice it together, you know exactly how to practice this formula. So I'll put the formula on the screen. And I will also show you the audio. I will turn off my video so that you can see this more clearly. Okay, so let's get started. This is practice session for stem cell stimulation frequency. For stem cell stimulation frequency, timer 5 minutes and 30 seconds for participant above 18 years old. Step 1. Recite silently once. Receive cosmic divine light, new era NOG, level 2 frequency band. Stem cell stimulation frequency. Step 2. Receive energy into the brain. Receive first time. Receive second time. Receive third time. Step 3. Send energy from the brain into the ERC. Send first time. Send second time. Send third time. Step 4. Continuously direct energy into the brain to the ERC and continue sending it from the ERC down the entire spine to the coccyx. Continuously support the energy, maintain the warmth for the entire spine to stimulate stem cells until alarm rings. All right, everyone. So time's up. Okay, so congratulations everyone on completing level 2 NLG. I will show you the Telegram groups right now. These are the QR codes for the Telegram groups. You can screenshot it and you can scan it later on if you have time. So of course, I will post all of the formulas of level 2 on these Telegram groups. We have the first QR code here, which is the general channel. The one in the middle, which is the chat group, that's where you can actually ask question and interact with other participants as well as the instructors. And then the third one is just the channel that you can receive posts and announcements. Okay, so I will post the formulas on here, and hopefully that you have had a great time participating in this class. And I hope that you will really make the most out of the formulas. And remember that you need to have the principles of energy, which includes love, morality, and the +1 - 1 frequency. All right, so if you have any question, feel free to contact us. We'll wrap this up now. Thank you everyone for participating. On behalf of all participants today, I'd like to say thank you to our energy founder, Mr. Lei. A huge thank you to everyone, effort to make it to today's class. And if you haven't been able to scan these QR code, then you can take a screenshot or you can go back to this part of the video. After this live stream ends, this video will be posted on our Facebook and YouTube. So it will be recorded and it will stay there on our channels. And so you can just go back to this part to scan the QR code. Okay, so thank you everyone once again, and I hope to see you in our future classes. Thank you. Bye-bye.